Hello and welcome students. The name of my today's module unit name is Morphology of Angiosperms and module name is Leaf and Leaf Phyllotaxy. The outline of this module is leaf characteristics and its parts, definition, types and significance of leaf phyllotaxy. In these learning outcomes, we will learn from this module to describe the leaf characters, to identify its parts and to differentiate between the different types of leaf phyllotaxy. As we know, when we talk about green plants, we talk about leaves or its foliage. Plants are green because of its leaves. Leaf is that part of the plant that bears chlorophyll and prepares its food by the process of photosynthesis. It is made up of flattened structure, which is called as leaf lamina, which is having the upper surface and the lower surface. The upper surface and lower surface bears stomata, which are minute pores which are responsible for the gaseous exchange during photosynthesis, transpiration and respiration. Now when we talk about angiosperm leaves, there are two classes of angiosperms, dicots and monocots, as you see in the slide. Okay. Morphologically, both the leaves of dicots and monocots differ in their morphology. The dicots show reticulate venation and monocots show parallel venation. Okay, wherein dicots show reticulate venation means the veins and veinlets are reticulately intertwined, whereas in parallel or monocots we see that the veins and veinlets, veins especially, run parallel to each other. Now when we go to the leaf characters, you can see that leaf is a flattened structure borne at the nodes of either stem or branches. They are bifacial. They have got two sides, the upper side and the lower side. Sometimes the leaves are isobilateral, means both the upper side and the lower side are similar. Then leaves usually develop at nodes, as you can see in the slide. Okay, leaves develop at nodes and they are usually arising from the apical meristem, which is made up of actively dividing cells. We call it as a shoot meristem. From the shoot meristem, there are some small cells which are called as leaf primordias, where leaves arise from these leaf primordia. Now we go to the parts of leaves. As you can see in the diagram, we have labeled different parts of the leaves to characterize the leaf. First, we should see the lamina. Lamina is also called as leaf blade. It is a flattened structure. Again, I am repeating it. It is made up of upper and lower surface which bears stomata. You can also see a network of veins and veinlets. The main vein is called as the midrib. It has got a number of branches which are called as veinlets. All these veins and veinlets, they have got vascular supply, means they have vascular bundles which help the plant, which help the leaf to supply food, water and nutrients to itself. Okay. Then we have the main vein which is called as the midrib. The next part of the leaf is the petiole. Petiole is the stalk of the leaf. It holds the leaf for maximum exposure to sunlight and it also helps the leaf to flutter in the air. When the leaf flutters in the air, it gets fresh oxygen, fresh air and also helps to keep cool. Leaves entire lamina weight is held by the petiole, and that's how the petiole is also a link between the leaf and the stem for its vascular supply. Then we have the next part which we see as leaf base. Leaf base is a point of attachment of the leaf to the stem. This is the point where the stem usually is attached to the leaf, and in some plants like the legumes, this leaf base is swollen and is called as the pulvinus. Next is the stipules. Stipules are lateral green appendages on either side of the leaf base usually, and they are more prominent in dicots and very less seen in monocots. Then other characteristics which characterize the leaves are leaf margin, leaf apex, leaf texture, leaf color, leaf outgrowths and so on. Next we go to see the distinction. As I have said, leaf has petiole which is the stalk, but there are some leaves which do not have this petiole. So when the leaf has a petiole, they are called as petiolate leaves, as you see in hibiscus. Then there are leaves which do not have a petiole. They are called as sessile leaves, as you see in Ixora. Now, based on the insertion of leaves, we have different kinds of leaves. Different kinds means there are three kinds: radical, colline and ramel. We'll see each one. What is a radical leaf? Radical leaf is proceeding from near the root or from above the root, example in Allium cepa, or we can also call onion. Then colline leaves, they are pertaining to the stem, like how you see in coconut, the leaves are attached to the stem. Then we have colline and ramel leaves, as in Mangifera indica, wherein the leaves are pertaining to both stem and branches. Now we know that it is very meticulous and amazing to see how leaves are arranged in different plants. Their arrangement is always different in different kinds of plants. This arrangement of leaves in different kinds, different classes of plants is called as phyllotaxy. So when we define, we say phyllotaxy is the arrangement of leaves on stem and branches. In other words, it's also defined as the mode of distribution of leaves. What is the significance of phyllotaxy? Phyllotaxy is very much significant to the plants because the orientation of the leaves is such that they are exposed to maximum sunlight for the plant to utilize it for photosynthesis. Secondly, it is one of the basic characteristics in identification of plants in systematics. Then what are the different types of phyllotaxis? In nature, plants show basic three types of phyllotaxis. In general, angiosperms show three types of phyllotaxis: alternate, opposite and whorled. Alternate phyllotaxy is also called as spiral phyllotaxy. It is bearing the leaf at each node alternately. Example, hibiscus. Other example is Polyalthia longifolia. Opposite phyllotaxy is again bifurcated into two types: opposite decussate, opposite superposed. Opposite decussate means pairs of leaves are at right angles to one another. This is seen in Calotropis procera. Opposite superposed, where pairs of leaves are one above the other at the nodes. This is seen in Pseudium guava. The next and the last one is whorled phyllotaxy, which is also called as verticillate phyllotaxy. Here, more than three leaves are placed at a node and in a ringed and whorled fashion. This is seen in Allamanda catatica, Nerium oleander, and also seen in Alstonia scolaris, Nerium indicum, I mean to say. And if you see the details, how you can differentiate between each type of phyllotaxy, we can see in the slide here. Here we can see Hibiscus rosa sinensis is a plant wherein leaves are borne alternately at each lobe, at each node in a spiral manner, in an alternate manner. Then opposite phyllotaxy is bearing leaves at each node, but the pairs of leaves are perpendicular to each other. First pair and then the next pair will be perpendicular to the first one, is seen in Calotropis procera. Then opposite superposed, where pairs of leaves are exactly above one another, as seen in Pseudium guava. Whorled phyllotaxy, two examples have been cited here, where Nerium indicum and Allamanda catatica shows more than three leaves or three leaves in Nerium and more than three leaves in Allamanda, wherein they are arranged in a ringed manner, and this type of phyllotaxy is called as whorled phyllotaxy. Now, to sum up, what we have learnt in this module is, we have learnt about leaf and its characteristics, we have learnt about parts of leaves and the different kinds of phyllotaxis. Hope you have learnt. Thank you, students.